Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. Hope you had a great weekend. It is Monday. I'm Gurveer Dinza, and welcome to Atlanta News First Plus. At 10 o'clock this morning, this is a segment that we call In Case You Missed It, some of the stories that are making headlines today. Many of you may have been out and about this weekend, but certainly you heard the big news over the weekend, which was about the U.S. involvement in what's going on between Israel and Iran. The U.S. is getting involved in military efforts to keep Iran from developing a nuclear weapon. President Trump ordered attacks on 3 Iranian nuclear sites over the weekend. Now, here in Atlanta, some lawmakers are applauding that move while protesters are condemning those strikes. Atlanta News First Sarah Hammond reports from the state capitol as reaction to these strikes seems to be split.
On one hand, you have protesters taking to the streets calling for the U.S. to stay out of this conflict overseas. But we also have some lawmakers who are applauding the move by the Trump administration. Some of these protesters saying we should be focused on issues here at home. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene took to social media to say, quote, "This is not our fight." The strikes are also stoking fears about possible retaliation. Top administration officials insist the U.S. is not at war with Iran, but Iran said they have vowed to respond. One protester Sunday said they feel called to show up and condemn the strike.
If we have to come out to the streets and continue to yell and scream and demand what we want as a country, I think that's what we should continue to do.
Georgia Governor Brian Kemp said in a statement on X, quote, "America can never allow Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon. Thank you to President Trump, our service members and intelligence personnel and administration officials who conducted this successful operation." He went on to say they are coordinating with law enforcement on all levels to closely monitor any potential threats here in Georgia. At the state capitol, Sarah Hammond for Atlanta News First.
Oil prices jumped in light of the ongoing unrest in the Middle East, which the U.S. is now firmly a part of. We could soon feel the aftermath back home in the form of higher fuel prices. Iran remains a major international oil supplier and also, by the way, is sitting on the Strait of Hormuz in the Persian Gulf. That is a key transit channel for about 1/5 of the world's oil supply. Oil prices had already gained about 3% last week. That was before Saturday night's U.S. military operation, so we're going to be waiting to see what happens there. Now, this takes on, of course, an added significance with the possibility of a record-breaking travel weekend ahead of the 4th of July holiday. According to AAA Georgia, the U.S. has set a new travel record for every holiday this year. The 4th of July is expected to be no different. AAA estimating more than 72 million people will travel at least 50 miles. That's a 2.5% increase from last year. Clay Ingram with AAA says most people now see vacation as a necessity and not a luxury. So I think many of you are going to be on the road probably over the next few days. Well, I had a terrific opportunity recently to meet a couple of Newton County deputies who really went above and beyond as part of the Atlanta News First Surprise Squad. These guys, you know, on a day-to-day basis, really just are out doing routine things. But one particular day really caught our attention, and you're going to see why. Take a look. DeMarcus Pope and Devon Moore generally work the overnight shift for the Newton County Sheriff's Department. An early morning meeting with the sheriff was just a trick to get them here. I'm Gurveer Dinza. We're with the Atlanta News First Surprise Squad.
This is definitely a surprise. It is. It was definitely a surprise.
A chance for the Atlanta News First Surprise Squad and a family to say, job well done.
They could have just escorted me to a safe place and said, hey, you know, get someone to help you. Instead, they both got out and said, hey, who's that young man? And I was like, you know, that's my son. Mm-hmm. Just got him from basketball practice. And he was like, get him out. Do we know how to change a tire?
This is what she's talking about.
Yeah, I get it out.
Last month, a flat tire left Raquel Ledger and her sons frustrated and stranded.
This tire is just barely to be off the ground.
The deputies didn't simply change the tire, they showed the young men how to change it.
And then put one on the bottom right across from it.
It's just a huge teaching moment for them. It's something they can take throughout their entire life.
You went above and beyond what your normal duty would be to help these guys out. That's exactly why we wanted to recognize them.
GameStop gift card and El Charo gift card.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Now it all makes sense. Okay.
What makes sense?
My corporal asked me if I play, if I had a game station and all that stuff, and I was like, yeah. And it didn't really dawn on me on what he was getting at, so now it makes sense.
Yeah, I play pretty often, so
That
I was wondering why they asked about that. So
Yeah, it was one of those kind of out of nowhere things. So it was. This is great. I appreciate you so much.
I grew up on a not so great side of town, and the way I grew up, we were taught, well, not taught, but in the back of our mind, we were scared of law enforcement, right? And what you guys did a couple weeks ago for these young men actually changes that perception. So thank you so much for what you do. I really do appreciate it.
All right.
All right, yes, sir. Yes, sir, thank you.
A thank you these two humble men say they don't need.
no offense, I don't care about recognition. I do it from the kindness of my heart.
For the Atlanta News First Surprise Squad,
When I go home at the end of the day, I know that I saved a life, so I'm forever grateful.
I'm Gervier Dinza.
A great story from Gravir Dinza, and just such well-deserved recognition for those two, and a well-deserved surprise. I'm sure they were super, super excited. That's what it seemed like, at least. All right, everyone, I'm First Alert Meteorologist Courtney Jacobazzi. Let's talk about your forecast, because it's going to be a hot one, and we do have a First Alert Weather Day on the horizon for Wednesday for not only the heat, but it is looking increasingly stormy on Wednesday. We're going to kind of talk about what to expect and walk you through everything you need to know going into this upcoming work week. I know a lot of you have kids in summer camp as well, so probably trying to figure out what that's going to look like this week when it comes to the weather. So let's get you through all of it. But Wednesday's a day you'll probably want to circle on your calendar. It's kind of going to serve as a transition day for us. It's going to be hot and humid, but that's going to be the day where we really start to bring back those afternoon shower and storm chances. Today, mostly dry. Bigger story is going to be the heat with temperatures in the mid-90s. Now, we do have a 20% chance for a few isolated showers and thunderstorms, and I do think that's really going to develop across Metro, maybe even for the city of downtown Atlanta in the heat of the day. This kind of setup that we're in, essentially, we call this the urban heat island effect. So you have the city of Atlanta. Obviously, we have lots of streets, lots of buildings, and those heat up faster than things like grass and trees and water. So that allows the heat to really bubble up quicker, and then you usually get those thunderstorms to develop a little bit quicker, and that area is just more favorable rather in the afternoon in the heat of the summer. So that 20% chance of rain, while that is still a low-end chance of rain, it could very well impact our highly populated areas just because of, again, what we call that heat island effect, that urban heat island effect. Going to be hot regardless, temperatures in the mid-90s today. Area-wide, we're looking at low to mid-90s, even the mountains reaching the 90s today, so quite a scorcher out there, and you already know what I'm going to say. It's also going to be humid. It's been that way through the weekend. Yesterday we topped out at 93. It felt hotter than that if you were out and about in the afternoon. Today will be no different. Temperatures are going to feel more like the upper 90s to triple digits across North Georgia today. South and east of the city, you'll feel the warmest with temperatures approaching heat advisory criteria, which is 105 heat index value. Now tomorrow, some spots south and east of the city could very well be under a heat advisory, as here's a look at those 5 o'clock feels like temperatures tomorrow afternoon. Triple digits for most of us. So really important that as you're kind of planning your week this week, especially today and tomorrow, if you have any plans to be outdoors, if you're an outdoor worker, maybe you had plans to kind of do some yard work today, get the kids outside, just make sure that, you know, you're finding shady spots when you can, you're drinking lots of water, maybe something with some electrolytes in it to kind of replenish you a little more because unfortunately, essentially what happens is our atmosphere is so hot and humid, we have so much moisture that your skin can't go through, your body rather, can't go through that process of evaporating the sweat off your skin. And that evaporation process is what helps cool you down. So when it's so saturated around your body because of the humidity being so high, you can't go through that evaporation process off your skin. The sweat can't go through that evaporation process off your skin because of how saturated the air is. And that's what makes it feel hotter, because all that heat's just getting trapped onto you. Wednesday, still really hot. That's our first alert weather day. Feels like temperatures still approaching 100 degrees plus across the area. That could change though. If storms roll in a little earlier, that will knock our temperatures down a few degrees. Essentially what's going to happen is today and tomorrow we're underneath this strong ridge of high pressure that's been dominating the southeast. That's been giving everyone, I mean, we're talking from the Midwest to here up into the Northeast, mid to upper 90s for high temperatures today and tomorrow. But then we're going to be watching this upper level low that's going to try to develop off the coast. And essentially what that's going to do is bring back enough energy, enough lift for a stormier pattern to ensue. So that's going to really allow for storms to start to redevelop and bring us that chance for scattered storms on Wednesday. So let's take you through our first alert weather day. Starting in the morning, mostly dry, warm and muggy, and then going into the afternoon. Now, this model is being very aggressive with our rain chance. And this has been a recent trend here, so this could very well change, but nonetheless, it is looking like with that upper level low developing that we will have enough kind of lift in the atmosphere to allow for widely scattered showers and thunderstorms. And because of how humid it's going to be, that could produce what we call downbursts, which are essentially when thunderstorms collapse on themselves because they can't carry the weight of how heavy the moisture content is, and that can create damaging straight line wind threats. So we'll be watching for that Wednesday afternoon. Could end up getting pretty stormy in the afternoon. So we want to give you that heads up. That's part of the reason for our first alert weather day alongside the heat. And then once that upper level low moves in and kind of pushes that ridge of high pressure out, that opens up the floodgates for afternoon storm chances each day through the rest of the week and into the upcoming weekend. So while we had that nice break from the rain and storms, it's all coming right back going into this upcoming weekend. Not a washout this weekend, but definitely want to just keep in mind in the back of your head kind of a way to head indoors if storms start rolling through. Think of just kind of that backup, maybe temporary indoor plan, indoor move there. So mostly dry and hot the next couple of days. It's going to feel closer to the triple digits. Wednesday's that first alert weather day. Right now, 50% coverage of showers and storms because not all models are quite as stormy as the one I just showed you, but the chance for scattered afternoon storms returns Wednesday. That will continue through the rest of the week into the weekend. The good news about the rain chances returning, though, is that'll cool our temperatures, cool, of course, a relative term this time of year, back into the upper 80s to low 90s. All right, everyone, make it a wonderful day today. Stay cool, drink lots of water, wear your sunscreen, all the things, and we will catch you here next time.
Stay up to date on your latest weather from the largest team of meteorologists in the Southeast. Download the First Alert Weather app for hour-by-hour forecasts and join us every weekday at 11:30 a.m. on ANF+. You can also text weather to the number on your screen, and we'll send a link directly to your cell phone.
Atlanta News First Plus starts now with the First Alert Weather Day.
Everybody, how are y'all? It's already very hot outside, and that is going to be the main story for the next 2 days. Hottest days of the year so far. We're already sitting at 86 degrees. Yikes. Then you add the humidity to that. What does it feel like? 91. But that's nothing. It feels like 94 in Rome. 96 in Athens. 96 in Covington. It feels like 97 already in Edenton. So hot and humid. That's the way to describe today. I think we'll spend pretty much all afternoon with our heat index in the upper 90s. Not quite triple digits today. We are also going to see isolated storms based on the new model data. I do think that just in the city center, when we have this amount of heat, we can get thunderstorms developing. So I think in the urban heat island, inside the perimeter, and in the highly populated areas of Metro, we're going to see a few storms today. We'll go through that in just a second. The heat risk today is going to be the highest from Metro Atlanta off to the east and down to the south. So areas like Covington, all of Gwinnett County, Lake Lanier, Atlanta, Henry County, Edenton, Lake Oconee, Athens. I would limit your time outside from 3 to 5 p.m. today. Definitely wouldn't recommend a lot of exercise outside today just because it's going to be so hot. Now, tomorrow, that heat risk expands. Most of North Georgia outside of the mountains will be under a high heat risk tomorrow, okay? Yeah, we're looking at upper 90s tomorrow. These are your actual high temperatures tomorrow. Oh, boy. It is going to be hot tomorrow, all right? Hot today, hot tomorrow. So we have this big dome of high pressure in place. We're looking at, hundreds of millions of Americans under some type of record-breaking heat advisory, heat criteria. And that high is still going to be with us as we head into Wednesday, but we're going to see a low develop underneath the high. So this high pressure is at 500 millibars, which means it's like 18,000 feet in the atmosphere. Underneath that high, we can get a low that develops around 5,000 feet at the 850 millibar level. Basically what that means is when a low develops underneath a high, you still get all the heating, but you can get thunderstorms that develop. And when you have that type of pattern, a low stacked underneath a high, you can get really strong downdraft winds or downbursts in the storms. That's why we've issued a first alert weather day for Wednesday. We're thinking that there is a pretty good potential that we'll see some storms, widespread storms on Wednesday. I'm showing you the graph model, okay? I didn't add pause points. Darn. Did you guys see that? I'm going to take you through that one more time. Today, like I said, we're going to stop with that urban heat island heat. So few thunderstorms are going to develop right across Metro today. You can see them bloom in the afternoon, okay? Tomorrow looks mainly dry, maybe a 10% chance. And then look at Wednesday. Holy cow, those storms bubble up. They're going to be widespread through the afternoon and evening. High risk of damaging winds, high risk of heavy rain. I really think that Wednesday could end up being a complete washout, okay? So just be aware that's going to be the start of the stormy pattern that takes back over. I know you guys are sick of it. But it's summer in Georgia. If it's not hot, it's going to storm. And if it's not storming, it's going to be hot. So right now we have a 60% chance Wednesday. I bumped that from 50 this morning. I bet you that's going to continue to go up, okay? So just be aware of that. So here's the way the 7-day forecast looks. Mid to upper 90s through Wednesday, and then we'll see that high pressure break down, which means the heat will break down a little bit. And then we see the return of those afternoon thunderstorms, pretty much lasting through the weekend. Okay? Hot. Hot, 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 hot. All right, y'all. 30% chance of storms this afternoon, mainly in Metro Atlanta. If you live in the mountains, you live south of the city, if you live more than like 45 minutes outside of Atlanta, I don't think you're going to see any rain today. Fingers crossed, okay? But think about your pets during this time as well. Y'all, when it's 95 degrees outside, their little paws, they can burn 5 minutes on the asphalt. Well, less than that, 2 minutes on the asphalt, 5 minutes on the concrete. Essentially, if you put your hand or your foot down on the concrete and it's too hot for you, it is too hot for them. And it will be too hot for them this afternoon. Okay, y'all. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay cool. And Courtney will see you at noon on Atlanta News First.